Masterclass in writing a novel, your novel, we have been focused on chapter 1 examples, and this is the fourth. Studying an example of another novel is one of the most effective ways to learn how to write your own, because it gives you a living, working model of what it looks like. Most novels follow an underlying structure that often will disappear under the surface of the story. But by analyzing a novel as a writer and getting out of the more passive role of a reader, you can see how an author introduces new information, the main character and the stakes, the pacing, how scenes flow through and together, and how to build tension and conflict, how to handle turning points and a climax. Studying an example, therefore, will let us see as writers how to achieve key effects, such as creating suspense, revealing backstory, crafting dialogue that feels real, and making characters evolve over time. So let us begin with the story outline, the back cover copy. James Moore, a 36-year-old prominent scientist, is invited to an exclusive gentleman's club in the redwood forests just north of San Francisco, and inadvertently becomes embroiled in a conflict that explodes into violence. Rescuing a whistleblower, he hides him away on a remote island, making himself the enemy of highly influential parties. His fiancée, Marianne, a mimic savant with exceptional abilities, comes to his aid, but he is ultimately saved by a new technology he has come up with that promises a huge return on investment. The Covenant is a venture capital firm willing to forgive his past transgressions, to own and so reap the rewards of this new technology. But they want to manipulate its use for profit. And this is something James and Marianne will not tolerate. Compelling elements. It's got a high-stakes plot, a secretive club, a whistleblower, violent conflict, shadowy power structures offer a great thriller appeal. Unique characters, a mimic savant and a scientist with a breakthrough technology. Themes of integrity versus power, ethical tension over tech exploitation gives the story weight. But what needs improvement? Well, the opening sentence seems a little dense, a little impersonal. It could start with a more gripping hook and weave in maybe age or profession more naturally. The paragraph moves quickly from incident to resolution. We get the club, the violence, the island, a new tech, without emotional depth or suspense building. Describing Marianne as a mimic savant is intriguing, but unclear maybe to readers unfamiliar with the term. Also, her contribution maybe should be more active or more clear. The phrasing is a little vague. What does the tech do? So let's do a rewrite. When scientist James Moore is invited to an exclusive club nestled in the redwood forests of Northern California, he stumbles into a deadly conflict and rescues a whistleblower who holds secrets powerful enough to kill for. Hiding him on a remote island, James becomes the target of ruthless elites determined to find the informant and silence him. His fiancée, Marianne, a mimic savant with extraordinary skills, joins him in the fight, using her unique talents to stay one step ahead of their enemies. But their greatest weapon is James's own invention, a revolutionary new technology with the power to reshape the world. The Covenant, a powerful venture capital firm, offers to forgive his past if he hands it over. What they don't know is that James and Marianne won't be bought, and they won't go down without a fight. This back cover copy has strong elements. High stakes, a compelling setting, intriguing characters, but a few refinements, again, might help to elevate the tension and polish the structure. James's motivations could be made more vivid. Why does he risk everything for the whistleblower? Is it justice, redemption, personal guilt? A hint here could deepen the emotional stakes. Marianne is introduced as a mimic savant, which is intriguing, but we don't see how she plays into the story. It needs more thematic clarity, meaning a clear and easily understandable expression of the theme or the central idea here would be more helpful. The phrase, a revolutionary new technology with the power to reshape the world, is ambiguous and maybe slightly generic and maybe could be reworked as well. So we'll give it another go. When scientist James Moore is invited to an exclusive club deep in the redwood forests of Northern California, he stumbles into a deadly conspiracy and rescues a whistleblower whose secrets are worth killing for. Hiding the man on a remote island, James becomes the target of powerful elites determined to silence them both. His fiancée, Marianne, a mimic savant with exceptional abilities, joins the fight, using her skills to keep them one step ahead. Their only hope lies in James's own invention, a groundbreaking technology with the power to reshape industry and the world. When the Covenant, a shadowy venture capital firm, offers to forgive James's infraction for the tech, the couple must decide what they're willing to sacrifice, because James and Marianne won't be bought, and they won't go down without a fight. So let's move on now to the first half of our Chapter 1 example. Just for a moment, he was back at school with that old familiar feeling as he transitioned from sleep. The injuries from a recent rugby match felt to their full extent. His fingers and wrists were stiff, ligaments and tendons strained, and it was hard to move due to the deep muscle bruises in his limbs and torso. Then the reality registered, and he remembered. The robed monk had moved at an inhuman speed, punching and kicking him again and again. He was unable to block, and any response was easily evaded. All of his attempts sluggish and slow. He reached for his face and gently explored his bruised jaw and the cuts on his forehead, cheeks, and lips. His nose felt broken, and the swelling made his face feel unfamiliar. James Moore was 36, 6 foot tall, fit, with blonde hair that was currently matted with blood and dirt, and his blue eyes were hard to see because of the swelling. Where am I? Looking around, he tried to remember how he got into what appeared to be an upside-down world. While studying the cave's rock ceiling, a symphony of echoing drips sounded as water dropped into a central pool, and light from a shaft opening lit up this vast, dank, subterranean world. He scooped up a handful of water, testing its smell and then taste. It was fresh water. He mouthwashed this handful and spat it out to alleviate his dry mouth and the taste of blood. The water felt lukewarm, and looking at his reflection, he turned his head from side to side to confirm the facial damage. Getting onto his knees, he leaned over the water's edge and scooped up double handfuls to gently wash his face in hopes it might clear his heavy-headedness. How did I get here? Studying the shaft in the distance, it looked to be about 6 feet wide. They must have repelled me in. Standing unsteadily, he could feel the pain from suffered body blows, and he straightened and stretched. He further searched what appeared to be an enclosed rock amphitheater. The water was crystal clear, and the subaqueous depths appeared to have no bottom, extending ominously. The surrounding walls of the cavern had no openings and were coated with calcite as groundwater moved down, providing a record of temperature and climate variations for probably hundreds of thousands of years. The edges of the body of water overflowed like an infinity pool, with the water finding ways to escape through thousands of small fissures in the limestone that acted like natural gutters, worn smooth by countless years of drainage. A strong opening, vivid sensory detail here. The physicality is compelling. James's injuries, the taste of blood, the echo of water, sensation of swollen skin, all put the reader inside his body. Description of the cavern, the infinity pool effect, calcite-coated walls, endless depth create a haunting and almost sacred mood. It's an intriguing premise, a protagonist waking up injured in a mysterious subterranean location. It's an excellent thriller opening. The contrast between the expected rugby match and the real attack by a monk sets up a puzzle that will draw the reader in. The second half. Removing his shoes and outer clothing, he stepped into the pool, and it felt good to be warmed by what must be geothermal heat. He pushed off, and this motion stirred the water, giving off a strong smell of salt. And he guessed that the less dense fresh water sat on top of a lower salt water layer. As he swam across, he looked down into the depths, a clear water window that covered this devil's hole, and it shuddered as if a plug was about to be pulled. A school of small, silvery-colored fish with vertical dark bands on their sides encircled him for a moment, and then left as quickly as they had arrived. A 4 to 5 foot high shelf prevented him from climbing out on the other side to reach the base of the shaft, and he searched left and right, but there was no way up. This was an obstacle, but then, even if he could get onto this landing, how was he going to climb up a smooth-faced shaft that now looked to be about 8 feet wide? Another shudder from below, and the water sloshed back and forth as though a creature in the bowels of this pool had turned in its sleep. He felt vulnerable and so swam back quickly and got out. A voice could be heard echoing down from the opening above, and then a large, heavy-duty drone carrying a bulky package made its way down the shaft, hovered near James, and dropped its cargo before leaving the same way it came, stirring the wind and rippling the water with its heavy downward thrust created by its large blades. It was followed by a micro drone the size of a hummingbird that moved quickly and had a swiveling camera that remained locked on James's position. Staying just out of range in an almost mocking fashion before taking up a stationary hovering position. A voice relayed through it, coming in loud and clear above the blade's gentle whisper. "Mr. Moore, give us Patrick and we will let you go. Refuse and we will bury you here." James's head drooped, and when he looked back up, he began to mouth words without sound, gesturing with his head and hands as if answering the ultimatum in apparently great detail. He finished, stopped, and waited, and after a pause, his eyes questioned as to why they were not responding. A cell phone ring could be heard high above at the shaft entrance, followed by a mumbling explanation by the drone operator. James tapped his ear and was about to carry on with the pretense, but succumbed and broke into a smile and a hearty laugh. There's intriguing action and atmosphere here, especially the surreal quality of the pool and the arrival of the drones. So it builds suspense very effectively. The geothermal pool, the layered water, the strange fish, the cavern all contribute to a vivid, almost mythical setting. It evokes unease and wonder, especially the phrases "as though a creature in the bowels of the pool had turned in its sleep." There is technological contrast here, the introduction of drones juxtaposed with the ancient natural cavern creates a compelling blend of high-tech versus almost primal forces. The drone's arrival feels cinematic, the heavy-duty drone followed by the slightly mocking hummingbird, smaller drone, is well imagined. It's got strong implied character intelligence here. James's gesture-based performance at the end of the chapter to fool the observers shows cleverness and agency here. This silent reply adds tension and indicates a very subtle defiance here. So this chapter 1, it's immersive, atmospheric, and hints at a larger high-stakes conflict. And this is a critical component for chapter 1. We want the reader to buy in to this story and continue. The setup is visually striking, and the gradual unveiling of James's conditions surrounding it pulls the reader in even more to this mystery. I do hope this video has been helpful, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Otherwise, bye for now.